All right, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today we have Richard Lowe. Richard Lowe is a premier ghostwriter with over 100 books and multiple bestsellers. He helps professionals and thought leaders bring their stories to life. A former director of computer operations at Trader Joe's, he blends technical expertise with storytelling mastery. As the founder of the Ghostwriting Guru, Richard is the go-to expert for high-quality, impactful ghostwriting that elevates brands' voices and gives you the authority you've been looking for. So with that, welcome to the show, Richard.
How you doing?
Hey, man. Good. I will put the applause here. The audience loves you. The audience loves you. Hey, man,
I hear that.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We met at a networking meeting a couple of months ago. And as I heard you talking about what you do and who you do it for, I thought, man, this is special because I'm a coach. I'm a leadership coach with an operations sidecar. And so I run into a lot of other coaches, and there's a lot of people offering to get your book done for $4,000 or something like that. And they basically are using ChatGPT to make it happen. But you do something special. Help me understand, what's the difference between a ghostwriter and a premier ghostwriter?
Well, what I do is I spend a lot of time up front on the book. First of all, I don't use AI to write the book. And I spend a lot of time up front trying to understand you, where you're coming from. My goal is to, first of all, find out who your audience is and what they want, why they want it, what you want, why you want it. And then I want to get the heart. I want to get your heart and put that into this story. And of course, ChatGPT and low-end ghostwriters don't do that. They're just trying to write the piece. What I want to do is understand you and your stories and your reasons for being and your passions and your goals. And we weave that through the book to create an engrossing story for the reader, something that they go, oh my God. And that's what premier ghostwriters do, is they go after the heart and soul of the person and put it into the book.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, there's nothing wrong if you just need to get a book out, or maybe if your book's purpose is for sales. But if you want to connect with people, a lot of experts, a lot of thought leaders, folks that have been CEOs or executives for years, have things they want to share. And the problem is not they don't have things to say. The problem is they don't know how to put it together in a concise format in a way that will connect with the audience. So yeah, I think it's really special that you can. The general packages I've seen in the past is, hey, come on a show. We'll do a show for you. We'll take that transcript. We'll have it. Somebody will change its voice, and then you're done, which is appealing. Like, oh, and then you're done. But to have somebody really dig into your life's work and be able to help you tease out meaningful lessons and put those in a way that people can digest, that's a super service, man. That's cool. How did you get into that?
Well, let me answer a question you didn't ask first. One of the problems with some of those ghostwriting services is you'll go to the service, you'll pay them a bunch of money, and they sound really good because they do everything. But what they do, if they do everything for this low price, is a lot of that goes to those other things and to the overhead. And then part of it goes to the ghostwriters. And I say writers. You're going to get multiple ghostwriters generally, because they're going to farm out pieces. And those ghostwriters are getting paid peanuts, and they're probably not US based, which means they're not native language, if you're a US person. So you're going to get a book that, it's probably okay, but it's not going to be the book that's going to show you off as a thought leader. It's a book you're probably going to look at and go, I wish I hadn't done this. In fact, one of my clients researched one of the book in a box type things. That's not what it was. Where they sell the package. And he called all the testimonials that were on the site, and every single one of them gave them a negative review. So check your testimonials if you're going to put on your website.
Yeah.
Now, that was not book in a box. That's a different service, but I use that term as, that is a type.
Well, cool. Well, I want to take a real quick moment to make a disclaimer. I actually have several friends in the get your first book written kind of genre. And they are excellent. So I'm not saying, so if you're looking at your budget and you're saying, I'm not spending five figures, 6 figures to get a book written. There are excellent services out there, and I can help you out and find those folks. But what's cool about Richard is he really does that higher level premium service, high touch, really pulling out. Like I remember reading Steve Jobs' autobiography. Now I don't think you wrote Steve Jobs' autobiography, did you?
I did not.
Okay,
I wish I did.
But what was really cool about it is Steve Jobs is never going to sit down and write that, but he had loads of stuff to tell. And then somebody to take all that stuff and to coalesce it was really, really cool experience. And that's the sort of experience that you provide for your listeners, or sorry, for your clients. So why did you get into that?
Well, interesting origin story here. Back when I was 17, I wasn't a writer, but my grandfather, everybody thought he was strange because, you know, he was off his rocker and stay away from me. He's persnickety. And I decided, hey, you know, my grandfather's not going to be alive much longer. He's getting Alzheimer, and it's time for me to get to know my grandfather. And everybody's, no, don't do that. So I went and talked to him. And turns out he was in World War II. He was on the Yangtze River Patrol before World War II, a cook. And then
that's cool.
He was captured on Corregidor when the Philippines surrendered. And it was in the death march. He spent 4 years in a Japanese POW camp. So I got his whole story. I wrote it up in a book. We never published it. And after writing the book and after listening to him, I decided he can be as weird as he wants.
Oh, because of that experience.
He's a hero, you know.
Yeah.
She put him on a friggin' pedestal. And after that, I was kind of hooked on writing. So I went into more and more writing. But then I had to make a living, so I went into the computer industry. And then I stayed there for 33 years. And then at the end of that, I decided I'm done working for corporate and went off on my own. And at first it was a struggle, of course, but I had a runway of some money that I had saved up. And I went into ghostwriting, and the rest is history. I started making a really good living at it. Now I'm making a better living than I was then as a tech person.
You're better at it now, right? You have all the skills, you have all the systems in place.
No, I mean, I make better money now than I was in the tech field.
Oh, wow.
And I've got my passion. My passion is writing. My passion is helping people. And I get to combine those two things, and I get to make money at it. I mean, what could be better than that? You know?
As a fellow tech guy originally, I think that because we get so focused on the product, I think people forget that the reason that we get into tech is because we like helping people.
Right.
We have moms, we have dads, we have cousins, we have grandmas and grandpas, and they can't figure out this newfangled thing. And it's just fun to be able to make a product that serves them. But now you and I both get to do that on a soft skills perspective. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's actually very exciting to help somebody and see the face on there. I got another story for you when you're ready. That's pretty cool.
Oh, go for it. Shoot.
The most fun story that I ever have, the best client, she came to me. Now, she found my name on the internet, and she comes to see me. We go to a restaurant to talk, and as soon as I see them, like, there's no way they're going to be able to afford anything. They look like your standard hillbillies, I guess is the right term. And I think that but she was an older lady, and she used her retirement to write. She wanted to write a book. I said, sure. I gave her cut rate and everything. And the book was the culmination of her dreams. And she handed me this big, thick stack of paper transcripts and said, I want this to be a novel. And I said, okay. So I hired somebody to transcribe it. And then, because I wasn't going to do that. And then we wrote a book. And the book is called Gators in the Soup, and it's on Amazon. And it's one of the few that I can say. And then it's about these gators taking this magical journey through basically Florida, but a Florida that has magic. And she talked to all the animals. They get in conflicts. There's a nice story. It's basically her book, her dreams. She got that, and the look on her face.
Yeah.
Still brings tears to my eyes. It was an incredible book for her. I mean, you know, I don't know how it reads normally, but I think it's a good book. And she loved it. Her sister loved it, even though that book was coming out of the inheritance. and she passed away 3 months later from COVID. But she got her dream before she died, and she got this. She knew. She was almost 80 years old, so she knew it was coming. And that is why I do it. Is because of that love, that they get the story, the client gets the story, and they get that feeling that they never had before. I've been told by some clients that it's almost like the first time you hold a baby in your hands. And there you go. That's my favorite story.
I love that because one of the things that I believe, I say down to the bottom of my toes, like we all believe some stuff and we're like, yeah, but you know, push comes to shove, it's okay. No, what I believe to the bottom of my toes, and it's why I do what I do now, is that each of us has a purpose on this world. And if we could mature that and we could live out the mature version of that, the rest of us are going to be so blessed. It's amazing. And when we fail to live up to that full maturity, we fail to realize our full potential. The rest of us suffer just a little bit. And so the end, well, for some folks, it's the end of life. For other folks that have the calling to it, it's the middle of life. To be able to write a story is one of those pieces that allows you to fulfill your purpose. That is a cool calling, man. That is a cool calling.
And the cool thing is I'm writing their story. So they're telling me their story, and then I'm interpreting that, making tweaks and changes to it so that it appeals to a reader, and largely taking out some of the fluff and making a story that people will enjoy and get value from, whatever the purpose is. So I get to hear a lot of stories, and it's very interesting. Some of those stories are like, don't tell anybody this, but it's like, well, why are you telling me this? It's not going to be in the book, but whatever,
Yeah.
And it's
so
just,
go ahead. So I'm going to pull back just a second here. You've written over 100 books.
Yes.
That's 100 is a lot. If you did if you did 2 books a year, that's 50 years worth of work. That's 4 books a year. That's 25 years. You've done a lifetime of writing for people, pulling stories out and putting those in place. Did you ever think that you would get that far?
By the way, it's in 11 years. Those books are in 11 years.
Wow. So that's like 10 a year. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I generally do about 10 books a year. Did I ever think I'd get this far? Not really. It just kind of evolved.
Got it. Yeah. So how long? All right. So I'm a thought leader, right? And I want to get a book written. How long does that process take?
Depends on the type of book, but if you want a thought leader book, a 60,000 word book, that's going to take 8 to 12 months.
8 to 12 months. So
if
you have multiple books going at the same time then?
Yeah. Yeah. I generally have anywhere from 3 to 6 books going on at once. And I rotate them in a day. The way I do that is I write 500 words a day on each book.
Okay.
So 500 words takes me 30, 40 minutes, and I just spread them through the day. And by the end of the week, I've got 2,500 words for each book.
Yeah.
And I have to keep up that pace because otherwise I fall behind and it gets
right. 1,000's hard to put in a day.
Yeah.
So here, go ahead. So you've written 100 books. Is there anything that you've learned over 100 books? I mean, one of my favorite rants is about the learning curve, which says your efficiency increases by 30% every time you double your experience. So if you've done something once, maybe it takes $100 to do it. If you do it twice, maybe it's $70, but then you have to do it 4 more times in order to get any better at it. So 100 times you've kind of climbed down that learning curve. Are there any like lessons or tips or tricks for those that are listening that might want to start a book?
Well, one lesson for those who want to start a book is hire a ghostwriter. It's a lot of work.
Fair enough.
The lessons that I've learned are, number one is use other people to fill in those gaps where you don't have the knowledge. So I'm a ghostwriter. I'm not a marketing person. So I hired a marketing company. I'm not an editor. So I hired an editor. And the editor will do the work on the editing on the book. Editing is different than writing. Editing is very different. It's a different side of the brain. I don't do it well. I hire an editor for it. For audiobook, hire a person to do the performance. You don't have to do it yourself. Hire somebody. It's not expensive. You can hire a high-end famous actor for less money than you think to word speak your book. It's only, in comparison to the cost of ghostwriting, it's not a lot of money. So outsource stuff. Don't outsource the writing. That's your job as a ghostwriter. I don't outsource the writing, but I do outsource the business pieces. And some of the pieces that I don't do well because that's not my forte. And I'm not a video editor. So that's what my marketing group does now. They edit my videos. I'm not a graphics person. They do that. What I am is a pretty darn good writer. And the other thing I learned is to listen to the customer. You want a book and really sit down and listen to what they want and get their goals embedded in that book and make sure the book from beginning to end is pinpoint accurate to what they want the book to be. It doesn't wander off in things. And that's very important because you don't want a book, if you're writing a memoir, you don't want a book about a whole person's life. You want a book about a story that threads through their life. You can't write about everybody's entire life. You want the story. Nobody wants to read, Game of Thrones size book about somebody's life, unless it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, which is huge.
Yeah. Well, he's also done a couple of things.
He's done one or two things in his life. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, his book is huge. I still haven't finished it. But that's to really listen to what the customer wants and really, really, really hone in on that, on the goal that they have. If their goal is like expanding their coaching business, but then what is the goal of the coaching business we'd have to get into, and then expanding on that, and what is the goal for their clients, and walk down this chain until we get to the eventual, what are we delivering to, because the book's readers are the clients or potential clients. We want to find out what they want and what they need and what they're going to get out of it without giving away necessarily the secret sauce. We're writing a coaching book. We don't want to give away the secret sauce. We want to just talk about coaching and give some nice stuff, and give them enough that they want to say, yeah, I'll go with this coach,
Yeah. So here I am. I'm a coach. We're kind of talking about that. Some other folks might listen to me here. They might be a CEO. They might be a CEO or COO or a vice president or a director, and they're looking for ways to get their team motivated. They're saying, you know what? I think a book is what I want to do as the next step. I have the cash for it. I have the content for it. What's the best way for them to go around organizing their thoughts so that when they come to you, they can use that time most efficiently?
Is to not do that. It's, believe it or not. The thing is
that's awesome. Yeah. Go ahead.
They have an idea. They should come to me.
Yeah.
And we set up, a 20-hour engagement which we do by the hour. It's usually a block of 20, where we brainstorm their book together.
Oh, okay.
And just back and forth until we have that idea honed. And it usually takes some time, because they'll have some fixed ideas about the book. You might have some fixed ideas about what you want, but is that really what your audience wants? Yeah. So we're gonna black whiteboard, so to speak, and talk and have good conversations, heated conversations sometimes. And but at the end of that time, you go, yeah, this is good. This is what I want the book to be about. And then we proceed with the project, or not, depending on the client, what the client wants. So you can spend all the time you want brainstorming, but you're just procrastinating.
No, that's true. Because a lot of the frustration of creative endeavor like this is you don't know if what you're doing is you don't know where the road ends, right? So you start walking down a road, and then the ambiguity of success starts to creep in, and it becomes oppressive. And so you're like, maybe I'll just go back. So having somebody that's experienced like yourself, that's done 100 books, several of them on the bestseller list, by the way. How many bestsellers do you
have? 2 bestsellers so far.
Okay.
And they were my books. They were on the Kindle list, and 3 customers went with traditional publishing. They sold, I believe, 20,000 book copies each. That's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
And they went with traditional publishers, I think Wiley and things like that. They hit their goals. One of them used their book to get venture capital of $30 million. So their book was their credibility that they submitted with the proposal.
Let me pull on that string for a second. I don't think people fully appreciate this. In the coaching space, I'm around other coaches and other marketers, and we talk about building authority as one of the crafts of a business, right? How do you build authority? It used to be you handed out a business card, and then we handed out flyers, and then we had a website. But what do you think about this statement, that your book is the new business card, that you're not really going to be taken seriously unless you've written a book?
That is absolutely correct. That you'll be taken far more seriously if you have a book. Just look at coaches. There's coaches that have books, and those are the ones that they have it proudly in their banners and all kinds of stuff. If you don't have one, you're considered less than coaches that do, because if you had a book, if you were good, you'd have a book.
Yep.
And a book lets somebody kind of preview your process before they talk to you, or while they're talking to you, and seeing, okay, what is this process about? What is this coach doing for me? Well, it's in the book. And then let's find you, and you get speaking engagements and all the other things that come with a book that are much, much more difficult to do if you don't have a book. Press loves books.
Yeah, I used to say this to engineers. So, believe it or not, engineering is creative. For those in the audience that aren't engineers, we're designing things, and then we're putting math on top of it. But the designing is the fundamental aspect of the game. And I had a whole lot of trouble convincing my team to do checklists. They said, "Listen, I'm an expert. I don't need a process." And I said, "Well, if you're an expert, don't you have a process?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's in my head." I'm like, "Well, let's put that process on paper." And the activity of putting the process on paper is actually exceptionally difficult, because you're trying to, you come into a situation and you experience something. You're like, oh, I think I've experienced that before. And you kind of ad hoc go back and go get the data and bring it back out. But I don't think we want our surgeons to like kind of wing it while they're in the chest cavity, right? Like, I think we want our surgeons to have a process that's been practiced multiple times. Writing a book proves to other people that you have a process.
That proves to other people that you have a process, and you know what you're doing well enough that you could write a book on it that other people can understand. That's the point.
Yes.
And you've got the authority now. It's the book. You've got the credibility. It's the book. And the press eats it up. People who put on speaking engagements love it. I mean, it opens all kinds of doors, but you do have to use it. So it's a marketing tool, and it's part of your toolbox, and you have to use it. That's an important point.
Well, so let's talk about that. So I have a magic book now, bling, because I went to it's ghostwritingguru.com, right? Ghostwritingguru.com.
No. It's ghostwriting.guru.
Oh, actually, I got this wrong in the green room. This is right. Ghostwriting.guru. Right. And I've signed up, and we've had our initial session. I'm like, yes, we want to move forward, which I'm going to just go ahead and tell you all. In prepping for this show, Richard and I have spent quite a bit of time together, and he is just as delightfully quirky and fun and intuitive as you're getting on the show here. He's great to work with. So if you sit down with him, I guarantee you're going to want to work with him. So we get our book structured out, and we start moving forward. We get the book back, and now I have this magic little thing. I have this folded piece of paper that says that I know what I'm talking about. What should I do with it?
Well, before we're finished with the book, you should start promoting it. So as we're writing the book, we can work on this together as you're writing it. We'll do LinkedIn posts once a week to show your journey of the writing. So you'll name me as maybe your writing coach or your advisor or something. Richard told me this today, and this expanded in this, kind of thing. Or you don't have to. It's up to you. As a ghostwriter, I'm generally anonymous, but sometimes that works very well. So that builds up the buzz. When we release the book, we'll do a pre-release, so it'll be 45 days in advance. The people can start to buy it, and we'll do a book launch party, which can have as many people as you want to go to that. I recommend there's over 1,000 if you can. Spread it over both coast time zones, so 4 hours long. Invite some guests, some high-powered authors, talk, whatever. Give away some gifts. Get people there. Sell the book. Now, once you've got that, you've got some sales and things. Use the book. Use it how? Send it to the press. Send it out to the press. Put it in press releases. Start sending it to the speaker circuit. You've got a book. Tell them about it. Any place you want to speak, you have to mention you got a book now. Here's the book, and you can send them copies, electronic copies or physical copies. Send it to your clients. Send it to your pre-clients. Put a place on your website where people can buy it. Promote the book. You have to promote the book just like you promote yourself, and use it and use it and use it everywhere, just like you would do any other kind of marketing material. Only this is the foundation of your marketing material. You also pull content from it, and you use it for blogs, and you use it for articles, and you use it for video scripts. And I had one client use it for speeches.
Yeah, no, this is what I love. As I started podcasting, and you have your own podcast. What's your podcast, real quick, so folks can find it?
Conversation with Influencers.
Conversation with Influencers.
Right.
And that's on Spotify. That's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Cool. Well, we will get that posted in the comments here of the show so that you can listen to it and start making that part of your daily digest or your week. I think it's a weekly show, right?
It's an ad hoc show as I find influencers.
Well, that makes sense. You got to find good guys. That makes sense. One of the things that I discovered as I started doing podcasts is that you can't just do a podcast. It's part of a promotion effort. It is, you write a book. So I've not written a full book yet. I've written, I'm a co-author with some friends. It is a bestseller, but I'm a co-author. My next step is full author, is that you're promoting, right? It becomes part of the conversation. It's an asset that lets people experience you. It's an asset that gives you something to talk about. And it's an asset that shows people you know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
And it's a conversation starter.
And it's everybody. So let me ask this. Do you know how to tell if there's a pilot at your party? Oh, no. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. And authors can be the same way, but it's also, actually, I just put on a big event. We had 150 folks in a very, very swank hotel in Lexington, all business leaders. like big names like Toyota and Lexmark and other big names were there. And I invited some of my friends. We had some free tickets. I said, hey, why don't you guys come and enjoy it? And they all walked away and they said, I had no idea that you led at this level. We knew you did leadership. I had no idea that people came to listen to you. And so having a book kind of has that effect as well. People are like, oh, wow, you actually know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And that's what a book does. You know what you're talking about. You've written it down. It's understandable. It has great stories. It shows you as a person instead of you don't want to be a coach. You want to be a person who's also a coach.
Right.
Shows your process to a certain extent. All the things that you want to tell those people is there. Gives them some nice little things that they can do that maybe aren't the heart of your business, but they're part of your business.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'm going to change topics here real quick. I do John Maxwell Leadership is the package that I have. I can do leadership coaching without John, but John's written like 30 books. So I just use him because he's fantastic. He has several laws of leadership. So I'm going to read one of the laws. I'm going to ask you your thoughts on it. Let's do the law of magnetism. You are who you are is who you attract. How do you think? What do you feel about that?
Well, it's very, very true. If you're, low income person and you're using drugs or something, you're going to attract those kind of people. If you're an alcoholic, you're going to go to bars and you're going to attract those kind of people. I read a great book by Larry Wingett. It's called People Are Idiots and I Can Prove It. And it's from the 90s. And one of the things he says is start surrounding yourself with people that are above your level.
Oh man, that's good.
And so if you want to be a millionaire, start hanging out with millionaires.
That's good.
And don't stop hanging out with your normal people. Whatever your friend group is, that's fine. Whatever your friends are, but hang out with the millionaires. And I've been doing that and it's been working wonders. So
that's so good. One of my favorite versions of that idea I think it's Snoop Dogg. I was watching an interview with him just on Facebook and came across, for the younger audience, Facebook is kind of like a message board, but for us old people. At any rate. So Snoop Dogg is on there and he said, one of the hardest things to do in life is realize that the folks you started with, as you grow, the folks you started with don't come with you. And he said, a lot of people are stopped because they don't want to outgrow their current friend group, like we're ride or die. But the truth of the matter is it's the obligation of your friends to grow with you. Right. So you're not leaving them, they're leaving you. As you're growing, as you're gaining new circles of friends and you're pushing yourself to that higher level, you are not leaving your old friends. You're inviting them to come with you, but not everybody really wants to pay the cost of operating at a higher level.
That's correct. In fact, I last year I joined a networking group called Alliances, and it's filled with millionaires, and it's filled with people at a high level. It also has people at a relatively low level, but every week there's 60 people who are of high caliber there, and it's the most interesting networking group. And it's a networking group basically.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I've been meeting lots of new people. I've been getting lots of leads. I've been getting vendors, all kinds of things from it. It's wonderful. When you find a right group that has the right power level of people, you can really achieve some stuff, because it's amazing what comes out of the woodwork. Oh, you need this. I can do that, and then you have to, of course, turn the tables and do things for other people too. That's part of the game.
I have a friend named Daniel Andrews, and I'll introduce you. I think you guys would connect well. His comment to me on networking is this. He said, yeah, let me introduce you to Jim and take you to his office, because I think you guys can work together. And that sentence kind of goes like this. Hey, you and I have enough trust that I'm going to introduce you to you and Jim. And Jim is maybe not at the local coffee networking thing where everybody's there. He's at a select group. Like I have to walk you into his office, or I have to walk you into the group. And then he trusts me enough to give you an appointment to meet with him. Right. And so, as you climb those ladders of success and you're introduced to higher and higher level peoples, they put gates around themselves. I remember, especially coming out of college, being young in my career, I was frustrated by that. But now that I'm more successful and I have more successful clients, I understand we don't have time just to meet anybody. You need folks that have kind of walked through those qualification steps.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And a book can help prove that you've succeeded.
A book proves you succeeded, and it helps you pre-qualify people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we are kind of running out on time here. So I'm going to give you the floor, just blank slate. If we haven't covered anything, what should we talk about? You got about 2 minutes. What do you want to tell the audience here?
Well, consider this. Basically, probably 90% of the books you see out there by celebrities or by high-powered people such as Bill Gates, or I don't know about Bill Gates, but the higher level people, when they write a book, they didn't write it. I mean, do you think these billionaires have time to write a book? Do you think they know how to write a book? They are a ghostwriter. Why wouldn't they? People who want to have that power in life, who want to succeed, write a book. And people who understand that outsourcing is the right thing to do, just give it to a qualified ghostwriter. And that's important. Clinton's book, all of her books were ghostwritten. Obama's books ghostwritten. I'm not sure about Arnold Schwarzenegger's book. I'm not sure. My favorite wrestler wrote his own books. He's a writer now, so he wrote his own biographies. They're great. That's Mick Foley. He's called Mankind on WWE. He's a comedian now. He's funny as heck, and so forth. So if you really want to get ahead in life, something to consider is A, write a book. B, don't write a book. Hire a ghostwriter to write your book with you. It's not for you. It's with you.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration, and it has to be a collaboration, or you're going to get a book that's not quite what you want.
Yeah. And I can tell you, as I was co-authoring that book, and as I was preparing for even just my most recent, like the big event that I put on, as you write the book, you will clarify in your own mind what your purpose is, what your message is, and who your audience is, right? Every time you sit down there and you're forced to clarify, it'll make you a better person and a clear communicator.
And that's what we do when we're writing the book. In fact, a lot of the stuff, I've done several coaching books, is by the time we're done, they have their coaching algorithm or coaching process totally changed.
Yeah.
It's interesting how that works. I didn't realize that. And there you go. It really helps their advertising and their marketing too, because now they have something to market with.
I wanted to pull this thread a little bit earlier when you were talking about it. For those that are thinking about writing a book and you're looking at Richard, again, a premier ghostwriter, which means it's not going to be a $10,000 book. It's going to be more, there's more value in it because he gives you more value. You're not just buying a book. You're essentially buying a 6-month marketing campaign because you're going to be posting stuff on LinkedIn. You're going to be having book launches, and he's going to be able to help walk you through that or connect you with the folks that can walk you through that. I just want to open up your mind as you're thinking about the budget. Where is this budget going to come from? Does it have to come from an inheritance? Does it have to come out of the 401k? Where you find the money, if you find the value, if you're committed to that next level, you're going to find the money, and that's on you, right? You got to take action and you got to do the things that are valuable. But I also want you to see the value that writing a book has for you. 1, you now have a book that's going to skyrocket your authority. 2, you have a book, and that book is going to allow other people to understand you. They can pre-read you, right? They can kind of qualify you. Like, oh, he wrote a book. I read his book. I liked his book. I want him to speak on his book. All of those things are valuable. But even more than that, you are going to have a tailored 6-month, 3 to 6 months, depending on how long your book takes, media campaign that is super interesting for people to watch, your fan base to get excited about you. That is a great reason to work with somebody, a premier ghostwriter like Richard here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I'm just going to kind of point out here, if you're a coach, if you're a leader of any sort, VP, director, if you're looking for that next level and you want folks to see, if you're a startup, one of his clients used their book to demonstrate authority to get $30 million worth of venture capital.
Yep.
You need a book, and you need a book that is a serious book, not just rubber stamped book in a box. Have I covered everything that my audience should know here?
Oh, we could talk for hours, but this is fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Richard, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for being a friend. We met in an amazing group. If you want to find out about the networking group alliances that we met in, reach out to me or Richard. And with that, we are out.